Are you struggling to gain momentum and traction in your life? Well, on today's show, the founder of CPA on Fire, Ron Parisi, and the founder of Primo Trailer, Tyler Hallblade, and the founder of drbreck.com. They all join us to teach specifically how to become proactive in your life in the areas of your faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, and fun. In this world of perpetual distraction, it is tough many times to gain traction, but on today's show, we're going to teach you the action steps that you need to take to create the life that you want to make. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere. Jason, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Well, it is 6:03 on a Sunday.
True.
And having a good weekend thus far.
Yeah.
What did you do yesterday? Yesterday would be Saturday. What did you do yesterday?
Yesterday, I was up at the office with you and John and Bloomer for a portion of the morning. You guys were going over PMH stuff, which was pretty interesting to hear, just to see like some behind the scenes, how you guys like grow a business that's scaling out. Then after that, I had my Saturday weekly workout with Built Phoenix Strong.
So real quick, we were working on Perfect My Home, Randy Antrican's company.
Yeah.
And we were doing a conference call with Randy and Jonathan and Andrew about growing that business.
Yep.
And then you just said you did a call with who?
So my trainers, Matt and Placid down in Georgia with Built Phoenix Strong, had my Saturday morning workout, and my shoulders were on fire.
But just so we get it, you are based in Tulsa.
True.
But your trainer is based where again?
Roswell, Georgia.
And how is that possible for those out there who are unfamiliar with what you're talking about?
Oh, so we do like a Zoom or a FaceTime meeting, and so for just 30 straight minutes, we go through like an entire warm-up. Then he walks me through each exercise. He's able to see that I'm actually there doing the exercise. I'm not just paying them every month saying, "Oh, I'm doing it," and then not like it's full accountability. It's pretty awesome.
It's you like the program.
I love the program.
How many weeks are you into the program right now?
We just started week 4.
Week 4? Mm-hmm. Are you seeing some results?
I am.
What kind of results are you seeing so far?
I noticed
that you
the
can
other
speak
day
of?
when we were doing our when he was walking me through like the stretching, I went to like bend my ankle up. I guess I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but my calves are like shredded now, which is awesome.
You're getting in great shape.
Yeah.
Liking it. Okay. All right. Now, Dr. Breck, what did you do yesterday?
Oh, goodness. We did some projects around the house. My daughter is on the Palm Squad, and so there's some different activities going on with that. They have a camp that's going on.
Cool.
In the hopes that the school will be somewhat normal this year. Then while she was with a friend, my wife and I took our little girls to play miniature golf yesterday evening. It was a beautiful night.
Really?
Yeah, really mild for Oklahoma in August. So it was like, I don't know, 78, 80 degrees, and a lot of people out, and we had a great time.
So you had a good Saturday night.
We did.
And Nathan with Complete Carpet, what did you do on your Saturday night?
Saturday night? Oh, we went and finished watching. We're going through all the old Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, and so we're reintroducing. The kids are finally old enough that I feel like the content matches their age group.
Yeah.
As you get older, you start getting excited. As a parent, you're like, finally, I can watch this with you guys. I get to share it. And it's not weird, except for Back to the Future. No matter how old your kids get, you watch it and you think there must be a lens of the history that we block out certain things, because there are a lot of language through Back to the Future. The first one that you just don't remember thinking, when I was a kid, were there this many curse words in this movie? And you kind of get about 20% through and you're like, okay, kids, let's watch something else.
Wait, when's the appropriate time that you start showing them all of Pauly Shore's Diary of Work? Because I feel like they need to know that.
Well,
Do you call it a diary of work? Is that what you call it?
I mean, have you seen Biodome?
Yeah. Okay, now what we're going to talk about on today's show is how to stay focused and organized in a world filled with perpetual distractions. Because yesterday when you were working out, Jason, you were working out.
This is true.
You were not doing something else.
I was not.
Okay. And Dr. Breck, when you were with your family yesterday doing the miniature golf,
Right.
you were doing the miniature golf.
I was.
And when you were watching the movie, Nathan, you were watching the movie. But a lot of people right now are trying to do 3 things at one time. So let me give an example to the listeners. As we're doing today's show, I am not on my phone. I'm not on my phone. I'm not distracted. And I have committed this weekend that I'm going to get certain things done. Now, those certain things that I'm going to do include, 1, taking the family to church today. We'll be going today approximately 8:45 a.m. We will leave en route to church because it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get there. We like to get there early. Nathan first introduced us to Guts Church. I knew of Pastor Bill Scheer because I'd watched some of his sermons online. I really like it there, but in order to be there, I have to leave at 8:45 to get there on time. But I think a lot of times what happens is, Breck, as business people, we say, I want to go to church, but I'm too busy.
Right.
Or I want to go miniature golf, but I'm too busy. And it comes down to learning how to stay organized in this world of perpetual distractions.
Right.
Robert Greene, the best-selling author, once wrote, this is the guy who wrote the book Mastery. He also wrote 48 Laws of Power. He writes, in the future, the great division will be between those who have trained themselves to handle these complexities and those who are overwhelmed by them, those who can acquire skills and discipline their minds, and those who are irrevocably distracted by all the media around them and can never focus long enough to learn. There's a big difference between people that can focus and those that can't. So we're going to break down the specific steps our listeners need to take in order to get everything done. But I'm just going to explain this weekend what I'm going to get done so the listeners have some context. 1, I'm going to take my kids to church. It's going to happen. The second thing I'm going to do is I definitely am going to finish editing Pastor Brian Gibson's book, Love Handles is what it's called.
So great.
He's always been a heavy-set individual, and his book is a marriage book called Love Handles, and I'm excited to read it. And I promised him I would edit that book. Now, that's going to take me about 5 to 10 undivided hours of time to do that. So, Jason, would you recommend that I edit the book while I'm at church?
I wouldn't recommend that.
Would you recommend that I edit the book while driving?
Definitely not. Unless you're driving a Tesla.
Would you recommend that I edit the book while doing anything other than editing the book?
No.
So if you had the task, if it was you, and you had this task to edit the book, where would you need to be, and when would you need to do it? You personally, if this was your task, where would you need to be, and when would you have to do it?
I would need to do it either early morning or early afternoon, and I'd have to be at my apartment or ideally the office where I could just throw some headphones on and know that if somebody sees me working, like if I'm around people, they see me working, they're not going to bother me. But for something like that where I know how I read, I have to reread things a lot in order to make sure I didn't miss anything. So typically for that, it's got to be solo, early in the morning, couple hours before the world wakes up so I can get it done.
But you're saying, again, you would have to do it you'd have to have headphones on.
If I was around people.
And what time specifically would you have to do it if you had to do it?
If I had to do it, I'd want to knock it out. So I'd get up early and knock it out somewhere between 4 and 7. It gives me 3 straight hours where I know that most people aren't awake yet, so I don't have to worry about my phone going off.
But a lot of people, what they say is they say, I'll try to get it done this weekend.
Right.
And Breck, what does that mean? When people say, hey, Breck, I'm going to try to get back with you this weekend, what does that mean?
Well, personally, I just take that as they've left themselves that margin of air, that window of opportunity to not get it done.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, like you've committed to, I'm going to get this done. Like it's an affirmative statement. There's no wiggle room in it. You've committed to it. You stated it. Now there's an expectation that by the end of the weekend, Brian can expect that it is done. But when you say, I'm going to try, well, now I've got that wiggle room. So it's just built-in excuse.
I think everybody out there, step one, when you have an action item, I think we want to say, I'll try to get it done. I think we want to say that. I will try to. I think that's what we all want to say.
Yep.
But we cannot say that if we want to have success. We must say, I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
So in order to get it done, again, this weekend, we got to get the book. We got to get the book edited. I'm going to edit the book this weekend. Now, the second thing I have to do this weekend, because I said I'm going to get it done, is I have to write the questions for Mark Sanborn. Now, Mark Sanborn is going to be a guest on the show. He is a leadership expert, and I got to do that. I got to write the questions for him to be on the show. I've got to add because I have to send him the questions I'm going to ask him on the show ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jason, if you were going to sit down and design your schedule, knowing that you have to edit the book, and then knowing that you have to write questions for Mark Sanborn, who at this point you probably don't know who Mark Sanborn is.
Right.
When would you do it?
Well, again, with the reading, I want to get that out of the way.
Yep.
When I'm alert and I haven't really had any first thoughts of the day, so I can just kind of consume all that. So that would be anywhere between 4 a.m., 7 a.m. And then since I don't know who Mark is, I'm going to have some research time. So if it's the weekend and I don't have anything planned after that, I might, take an hour break, get some caffeine, get some breakfast, maybe do like some light exercise. And then I would block out at least 2 hours of research in the early afternoon. That way I can get everything done prior to the afternoon starting in the evening getting here. So I still have some time to, wind down on like a Sunday.
So let's talk about all the things we have to do today. I'm trying to help the listeners take all these things we have to do. So, Breck, again, we have to edit Pastor Brian's book.
Right.
And again, we have to edit Pastor Brian's book because we said we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't say we're going to try.
Right.
So we're going to edit Pastor Brian Gibson's book. That's something we're going to get done. Then we're not going to try. We're going to write the questions for this guest here, Mark Sanborn. We're going to say we're going to do this. We're not going to try.
Yeah.
We're going to write the questions for Mark Sanborn. Now, again, folks, this is real stuff. This is the real stuff. This is how it goes. This is the stuff we have to get done. Now, other stuff we have to do is we have to edit the voicemail for Living Water Irrigation. We have to edit the voicemail system for Living Water Irrigation. Now, this is not stuff that we're going to try to do. We have to do it. Mm-hmm. And again, why do we have to do it, Breck? We have to.
You're committed to it.
But if we said, I'm going to try to get it done,
right,
what would happen?
Well, then you may get 2 out of the 3, but likely something's going to get pushed off the list. Other things are going to interrupt your day. Inevitably, every day, there's going to be some little burning fire that comes. One of your kids is, going to have their own emergency that needs your attention. And so if you don't have yourself committed to certain activities and blocked off time, then, there's 1,000 other things that are always begging for your attention.
So we have to also arrive today at the Riverwalk at 1 p.m. Because yesterday, one of our clients, his wedding venue canceled on him and said he couldn't have his wedding there because there was concerns about the number of people due to COVID-19.
Shocker.
Okay. But by the way, a good COVID-19 story. Marty Grisham, his somebody in his family yesterday was listening to our show, and they got diagnosed as having COVID-19.
Right.
And they took the Dr. Richard Bartlett's recommended cure, which consists of using a nebulizer and a $237 drug that is FDA approved for asthma. And they took the treatment, and they are now not dead.
Wow.
This just in. They're feeling good.
I'm glad they're not dead.
No, they're cured of COVID-19. Yeah. They are. They're fine now. Mm-hmm. Yet another success story. And this is we're hearing dozens and dozens of people who are now telling me directly, hey, I took the treatment. I didn't die. That's exciting. Meanwhile, though, this guy has a wedding coming up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so he reaches out to me and he says, hey, my wedding venue cancels my venue. Do you know of any other venues or something like that? And I said, sure, have it at our office. And so they hosted the wedding reception at the Riverwalk yesterday.
That setup was
so
beautiful.
I said that I'm going to arrive at 1 o'clock today, Sunday, to let them in to take stuff out and throw away stuff and clean it up and all that kind of stuff. They have to return the office back to non-wedding, but it kind of looks good in there.
It looks really good.
But I promised I'd let them in at 1 o'clock, and I'm just making sure all the listeners get this. Then I have to record an epic voicemail for King Screens. Jason, what is King Screens?
Oh, man, they are a screen printer based out of Broken Arrow, but they do embroidery and hats and vinyl stickers and banners and custom T-shirts, custom apparel of any kind, really, for the greater Oklahoma area.
So how long, if you had to do the voicemail, how long would it take you to do the voicemail for King Screens?
Oh, I'd block off at least an hour. It may seem ridiculous, but I mean, there's edits. You have to, if it's got to be epic, okay, you have to re-listen to it. Did this sound okay? How's the timing? So I'd at least have to do an hour in the afternoon for that for sure.
Okay, and then Dr. Judy Mikovits, the lady who she worked directly with Dr. Fauci, and she discovered that Dr. Anthony Fauci, is a very corrupt individual. And so she wrote a book called Plague of Corruption, which is endorsed by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay, this is JFK, his son there, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Mm-hmm. And so we have been in contact with her, and we're going to interview her twice in the next 2 weeks. And I have to write the questions for her. Now, if you had to write the questions, Dr. Breck, to interview somebody who is currently the number one selling author in America,
right?
She's the New York Times best-selling author. How long would it take you to write those questions?
Well, I know you're very familiar with her work and who she is and what's been going on. So for you, I would think probably no less than 30 minutes, maybe an hour.
Okay. All right. If you had to write the questions there, Nathan, how long do you think it would take you to write the questions? If you were going to interview somebody who's the number one author in America at this time.
For me, because I haven't read that book yet, I've heard about it, but I've yet to read it. I'd probably have to put 4 to 5 hours in, because I'd first have to get myself up to speed on the previous work she's done, what her credentials are, what her life experience has been like up until this point, so that my questions aren't shallow and just roughly about the book. I want to know more about her so we'd know what had happened. So I'd say it'd probably take me I'd carve out 4 to 5 hours to spend just really deep diving into some of the other things that she's done. Of course, reading the book would, you have to at least get through the cliff notes of it.
So here are my notes on the book. I've got them all highlighted here, and I'm going to have to go through my notes from the book, and I got to organize it. Anyway, so we have these things. So I'm asking the listeners today, what are all the things you have to do? Also, I have to take out the trash. Got to do it. So I have to take the trash out to the dumpster. The dumpster we have at our house is full, so I have to go to the office. So we got all these things we have to do today. Now, at 6 o'clock tonight, we have family time. Now, Jason, why do you think that I block out time every single Sunday for family time?
Well, because it's to avoid the whole, I'm going to try to spend time with my wife and kids. It's you actually do it. You block that time out so that time belongs to them.
And then today at 7 a.m., we've committed to interviewing a CPA. His company's called CPAs on Fire. He's the official accountant for John Lee Dumas from the Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. And we're going to interview him at 7 a.m. So at 7 a.m., we're going to interview Ron Parisi, and he is with a company called Accountants on Fire at 7 a.m. And then at 7:30, we're going to interview a guest named Tyler Hallblade. So what we're seeing here is we have a lot of stuff to do today. True. I don't know most people, so I'm just asking sincerely. I want to get your take on this. Do most people have stuff like this to do during their weekend, or what do most people do? Jason, you know a lot of people. What are people doing?
Well, most people are not doing this. Most people that I know are still asleep right now.
True.
I can tell you my whole house is asleep right now. That's why I get to be here.
Mine as well.
So
I would say most people do not. Most people on their Sunday to-do list, there's probably no more than 3-4 items all day.
And if I can interject one thing.
Really?
The thing that we're talking about is the power of what your words can do, which is what you guys have been hitting on. You keep hitting on it back and forth. There's a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 18:21. It says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. A lot of times people think of whether you're alive or dead, but really you could take it and say, whether something can come alive or whether something will just die on the vine, whether you say you're going to do it or you say you're not going to do it, is whether it will or will not happen. And so just take, like for a kid, when you're a little kid and you come in there, what does every dad do when their kid is arguing with their mom? You walk in there and you say, son, you say yes, mommy. And what do they do right then? As soon as they say yes, mommy, they turn around and they do whatever mama said. Because once you acknowledge it with your own mouth, you do it. And so that's why it's important that and I think another part to this that you're going to talk about, Clay, is also remember to say no to things. So you have the freedom to say yes. I mean, what are all the things you're saying no to right now, Clay?
Well, that is a great point. That is a great point. And what I want to make sure we get, and in saying no's on the list here, is I just want everybody to take a moment today and to write out what you have to do. Just take a moment. I mean, we have time. Go ahead. We have time. We'll wait. What are your goals today for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? Breck, what's something you're doing with your family today?
Today we're going to spend some time around the pool, and we're going to go to church together. We'll eat a couple of meals together.
So faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, and fun. What is something you're doing today, Nathan, with your family? What's something you're doing with your family today?
We're going to start off by going to Guts Church so that we can get our spirit fed. And then after that, we're going to move down from our chest. The spirit man's right there in the chest. We're going to move just below the chest into the belly, because then we're going to feed our actual physical flesh with some good food. It's a good time to...
So you actually, though, I want to make sure we get this. What are we, listeners, what are we doing today for our faith, our family, our finances, our fitness, our friendship, our fun? We have to make that list. You start off with the list. Here's the list of all the... So I've told the listeners what I have to do today. This is what I have to do today. This is on my list. I'm going to get this done today. That's what I'm going to do today. But now it's like a lot of stuff's going on.
Right.
And Robert Greene says in the future, the great division will be between those who have trained themselves to handle all these complexities and those who are overwhelmed by them. Those who can acquire skills and discipline their minds, and those who are irrevocably distracted by all the media around them and can never focus long enough to learn.
Yeah, I'm currently reading Jim Quick's book, Limitless.
Limitless?
Mm-hmm.
Jim Quick.
And, he's a teacher that helps educate people about learning. He himself, he had a brain injury as a child and struggled to learn, and then, taught himself and figured out different patterns and methods and ways. And it's Kwik, Jim Quick. And he actually dedicates a chapter to focus. And the inability to focus and people struggle and how you cannot really multitask. The brain can really only focus on one thing at a time. And so if you are not focused in one direction, you're really going nowhere. But I think when you ask, do most people's to-do lists look like this? I think no, but part of that is also because I don't think many people have a clear direction. I don't think people really stop to take the time to look at their 5 or 6 goals and, really have that target, be proactive and very intentional about where their life is going. And so I think most people just kind of meander through and default to, the lesser common denominator more often than not. I know I've talked to people who felt like they ended up with their spouse that same way. They just kind of started dating somewhere. They weren't really intentional about it, but along the way, we've been together this long. Our friends are getting married. Hey, will you marry me? Yeah, I guess. Let's get married. And, 5 years later, they've got a couple of kids, a mortgage, and they wake up one day and they realize, I didn't actually actively choose any of this. I just sort of fell into all of it. And if you're not proactive, your life is going to happen to you rather than you deciding and directing your own story.
I could not agree with what you just said more. I agree with that. I think we have to be intentional. So again, when we think about these things, we have to think very intentionally, what are the things that have to get done this week, today? What are those things that you now around you, people are going to reach out to you with things that they want you to do.
Right.
Or people you don't know are going to reach out to you with things they want you to do. People you don't know. Mm-hmm. So we had a customer at Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge on, I think, Friday, who demanded to speak with me. And he said that if I won't take his call, he's going to open up an Elephant in another store, a competitive store, next to me in the same shopping center.
If he knows how much that costs.
I mean, he said that, though.
That's insane.
Because he demands to get his hair cut with the same stylist every time. And she happened to be out one day. Something came up, so she couldn't cut his hair that day. And so she was out. And our policy at Elephant in the Room is we don't cancel on customers.
Right.
If somebody has a life emergency, we don't cancel and reschedule everybody. We get you in with another highly trained stylist, and that way you don't have to reschedule. That's our policy. Just like like an airline. If the pilot who is supposed to fly the plane can't be there that day, they don't cancel the flight as a general rule. They just put another pilot in the spot. They don't say,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, Captain Smith was going to fly today, but because he couldn't be here, we've got nobody else. So, folks, we're going to get off this airplane and go back to our houses because we don't have any other pilots.
Captain Smith can't be here. I'm going to start my own airliner.
I mean, could you imagine?
Well, yeah, it seems like a real silly reason to go to war with you.
Could you imagine, though, that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Subway Sandwiches. Carl couldn't be here for a shift today, so we're going to evacuate the building. Nobody else here knows how to make a sandwich, and we don't want to be intellectually dishonest with you. I know many of you expected Carl to work the noon shift, but Carl cannot be here, and so we just want you to know that, folks, welcome to Lowe's. Greg, who works up front, he couldn't be here today, so just for the integrity of Lowe's, we want to make sure that you know that since Greg couldn't work today's shift, we are going to be shutting down the store. We like to keep the same schedule every week, and we don't want you to be checked out by somebody who's not Greg, because we know several of you, maybe 3 or 4 of you, wanted to check out with Greg. Now, folks, welcome to Quick Trip gas station here. We were going to let you pump your gas and be checked out by Sally today, but Sally, the cashier, has been moved to another store. So we're going to shut down this store forever, in perpetuity, because she was no longer at the store. Many of you expected her to be at the store and have expected her to stay at the store for several years. I mean, come on.
A little unknown secret is that's how Come and Go got started. That's why the name's so dumb. Because the guy said, well, Quick Trip's not working, so I'm going to make up another dumb name place.
By the way, Come and Go is a gas station in Tulsa that has many reasons why I don't like to go there, but one of which is their name. It's bizarre. But I want to make sure we're getting this idea is he demanded to speak with me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He demanded to speak with me. I didn't talk to him, though.
That's good.
You know why? Because I was scheduling an interview with Judy Mikovits, who happens to know firsthand that Dr. Fauci is a fraud.
Right.
And when the American people recognize that the man who they trust the most is a man they should trust the least, I think things begin to change.
Right.
But I think as long as America continues to trust Dr. Fauci at all, even a little, we have problems.
Right.
So I love that Congressman Jim Jordan kept asking Fauci questions. Did you guys see this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this?
I got a little bit.
Did you see it, Nathan?
I got to experience John experiencing it, and he's not an easy man to excite. And the whole time he's just like, "Oh, get him! Yes!" He loved it.
Okay, so I'm going to cue this up here. This is Dr. Jim Jordan. This is him explaining he's interviewing Dr. Fauci there, and this is Jim Jordan. I'm sorry, Congressman Jim Jordan. He's interviewing Dr. Fauci. This is audio I'm playing here from The Hill YouTube channel. This is audio of Congressman Jim Jordan asking Dr. Fauci questions about the coronavirus. This is probably my favorite audio clip of the year, so let me cue it up here.
Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, that number of people, does
Yeah.
it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to.
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You
No.
make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything
No.
you can imagine. I'm just asking you just said
Yeah.
that protests increase the spread.
No.
I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you.
Government
that-
stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting,
Right.
over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, That induces the spread.
It's a simple question, doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that. I mean, for 63 days, 9 weeks, it's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured. But no limit to protests. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, but I've never
This
said
is something that
to limit
directly impacts the spread of the virus, and I'm asking your position on the protest.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger. And you can make your own conclusion about that. You should stay away from crowds, no matter where the crowds are.
Government has stopped people from going to work. In fact, just in New Jersey 4 days ago, Ian Smith, Frank Trombetta were arrested for trying to operate their business, their gym. They were arrested. But my bet is if these two individuals who own this gym were outside just in front of their gym, and all the people who were working out in their gym were outside protesting, they'd been just fine. But because they were in the gym working out, actually running their business, they got arrested. You think that's okay?
You know, I'm not going to opine on who gets arrested and who does not. I mean, you get where I'm going. I'm telling you, as a public health official, I say crowds.
Do you see the inconsistency, though, Dr. Fauci?
There's no inconsistency, Congressman.
So you're allowed to protest millions of people on one day in crowds yelling, screaming, but you try to run your business, you get arrested? And if you stood right outside of that same business and protested, you wouldn't get arrested? You don't see an inconsistency there?
I don't understand what you're asking me as a public health official to opine on who should get arrested or not. That's not my position. You could ask it as much as you want.
You've advocated for certain businesses.
You've
You've advocated for certain businesses to be shut down. I'm just asking you on your position on the protest. I haven't seen one. We've heard a lot about hair salons. I haven't seen one hairstylist who, between haircuts, goes out and attacks police or sets something on fire. But we've seen all kinds of that stuff during protests, and we know the protest actually increased the spread of the virus. You've said that.
I said crowds. I didn't say specifically. I didn't say protests do anything.
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission. No matter what the crowd is.
So you don't have a position on whether the protests increase the spread of the virus or don't increase the spread of the virus?
I'm saying that crowds, wherever the crowds are, can give you an increased probability that there's going to be acquisition and transmission.
But do you understand Americans' concern? Protesting, particularly according to the Democrats, is just fine, but you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church. There's limits placed on all three of those fundamental activities, First Amendment activities, but protesting is just fine.
You know,
the gym is time.
Interesting.
Hey, if I learned anything, he is not going to opine. And if I have to hear the word opine one more time today.
Well, this is the same Dr. Fauci who's told everybody that we shouldn't go to church, that certain businesses are essential and certain ones are not, but yet he will not directly answer the question if protests and riots will spread the virus, because government officials have encouraged people to go out into a riot and loot businesses, but they have told people they can't go to church. The point is, dealing with Dr. Fauci and making sure that I get out the truth about that man to as many people as possible is far more important than a guy who demands to talk to me. And he said if I will not talk to him, he will open up a hair business, a competing business right next to me.
Maybe they call it clipping blows.
What I'm saying, though, is somebody out there who owns a business would take that call.
Yep.
I won't. I don't care. I don't care. It's not worth my time. I do not care. Now, another example of things I'm not going to do I'm not going to do today. I'm not going to have my phone on all day.
Right.
The whole day. It's going to be off all day. Today, it'll be off. And I don't have any curiosity about who's trying to call me either, because I know what I'm going to get done today. We've talked about what we're going to get done today, but why do we have to? Because this is an audio only show. Why do we have to? Why is the very first step? Why do we have to? The very first step. Why do we have to make a to-do list? Jason, explain to me. We have all these things we have to get done today. Why does it all start off by getting it out of our heads and onto paper?
Well, because the second we get some new information, it starts to take up bandwidth, and you only have so much as you can handle cognitively per day. So if you know, okay, well, I have a list of, let's count it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, at least 15 items you just put on this agenda. You need to get those out as soon as possible, because the second you get to 16th, you're going to start to forget one of those 15. I'll tell you, I don't even remember what we just talked about. If you said, what are you going to get? If you said, what am I going to get done today? I don't know. So I put it. So step one, though, we make a list of everything. Then step two, we put it in order. We got to put it in order. Right.
So we go to church here. We got 7 o'clock. Jason, what are we doing at 7 o'clock here?
7 o'clock, we are talking to Ron Parisi.
And he's the guy
CPA on fire.
CPA on fire. Okay. And then at 7:30, we're doing what?
Talking to Tyler Hallblade.
And at 8:45, we're doing what?
Heading to church.
Okay. And now, and if church starts at 9:30, why am I going at 8:45, Jason?
Because you like to get there early, get a better spot, give you time to get a seat,
not be late.
Exactly.
And again, I don't know what other people are doing, so I'm trying to. People ask me all the time, how do you get so much done? So I'm telling you what I do, and I just am asking by default.
This is the secret sauce right here.
What is it? What is everybody else doing on a Sunday? I don't even know. What are they doing? I mean,
right now they're sleeping.
Yeah. Followed by, I think, another round of sleeping.
And and if church starts at 9:30 for them, they're probably sleeping till 8:45, and then they're starting to get ready, and then they're rushing out the door at 9:20. When it takes no less than 15, 20 minutes to get to church. They're showing up late, halfway through the worship service. There's
an entire crowd that goes to church. If church starts at 9:30, there's always the crowd that comes at 10 for the 10 o'clock service of the 9:30 service. That's where you start seeing the back all of a sudden fill up. You're like, oh, I can see they took off at 9:30 to get here.
Yeah.
And I don't understand.
But it was the donut shop's fault on the way, because they were backed up.
It was the devil.
And I'm being sincere when I say this. I don't get it.
No.
I don't get it.
Yeah, like with the cell phone, I don't get it. I find a huge amount of freedom not being directly connected, not having my phone connected to my hand. People think it's crazy. I hear it all the time. How, hey, I sent you a message. You didn't immediately see it. You didn't respond. So I posted something, and I looked for your no. I mean, my family know if I'm at the office, that's what I'm doing. I'm at the office treating patients. I don't answer my phone. If there's a true emergency, you can call the front desk. The girls will let me know. If the house is flooded, call the plumber. If it's on fire, call the fire department. I can't do anything about it because I'm not there. But that's why my weekend is so important to me, because mostly my weekend is about family, because I have, we're not looking for balance, because balance is like equal. We're looking for harmony, where at certain times there's certain amounts of music being played, or one instrument's coming in, another's going out. And so we're looking for that harmony all the time. But it's not, work-life balance doesn't always work out that way. But harmony can work. And harmony is a blended, beautiful thing. And so that's what I'm always working towards. And so my weekend is geared more towards family and worship. My work week is geared more towards work. And so we just have this balance. That's one of the reasons why we spent the night playing miniature golf together as a family. But, it's, I think, going back to, earlier comments about try, I think it was Yoda in one of the movies talks about there is no try, there is do or do not.
No try.
There's no try.
No try. Yeah, Yoda said that. I will say it is so important for the listeners out there to get this idea. At 7 o'clock, we're going to interview Ron Parisi. That's the time we're going to do it.
That's going to happen.
At 7:30, we're going to interview Tyler Hallblade, because that's what we said we're going to do. Now, at 8 o'clock, I've decided I'm going to write the questions for Mark Sanborn at 8 o'clock. Now, then we're going to go to church. Now, we're going to go to church at 8:45. Now, we get back from church, I'll be back here at 11 o'clock. And I'm going to tell you the thing I don't want to do the most, me personally, I'm not sure how the listeners process this. I do not enjoy editing books at all. I dislike it. I don't enjoy it. There's not a single part of the process that's enjoyable. Even reading books, sometimes I don't know that I like reading books, but I need to.
Right.
Brian is a good writer. He writes well. The things he's writing about, I'm interested in. I'm interested in Brian as a pastor and as a writer. But being totally honest with the listeners, I don't want to edit a book.
Right.
Now, maybe you're listening right now, and maybe you like editing a book. This is where the wheels fall off the wagon for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They only do what they want to do.
Right.
They don't do what they need to do. So let's talk about this.
Sure.
Breck, if it was on your list today to edit a book for a client, would it be something you wanted to do or something you had to do?
Editing a book would probably be more of a have to do.
So it's not something you're excited about?
No.
What about you, Nathan? If you had to edit a book, would that be something you're excited about or something that you had to do, you needed to do?
That'd be a definite have to do. I'm an audiobook person, but you sit down in a physical book form for me, and it takes me forever because I'm definitely squirrel-like, and so it takes a lot of focus to try to stay on one task a long time.
Okay. But so, again, this is something I have to do, so I'm going to do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm blocking off between 11 o'clock. It's going to take me till about 3 o'clock to finish this book, I think. It might take longer. I don't know. So I'm going to say till 4 o'clock. Now, why is it important that we block off more time than we think we need as opposed to not enough time?
You don't want to be coming up short.
But I think that's what all entrepreneurs do a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you could use extra time if it is less, then it's like a bonus back to yourself. You've gained time. But if it took longer, now it's crowding out something else.
Well, and I think one thing that's super important that we're talking about here is these times that we're setting to do the next thing also tell you that you've set a time limit on what you're about to do, because I think entrepreneurs are the worst at this, is that we don't set a time limit for how much we're going to do, and then we get into one task, and then we do one of our 20 to-do list, and the end of the day comes, and we're like, well, I guess I'm just not going to get to the other 19, because we rabbit hole into one thing. We find a thing we do like and not set a limit. And also, if you set a limit, now you've got a purpose. Now you've got a goal. Now you've got something you're striving for. Like, hey, can we get this done in 30 minutes? As opposed to, it'll take an hour. But if you set a 30-minute goal, I bet you can make it in 30 minutes and not meander slowly through it. You'll actually have a purpose and a function.
Now, when you have so we're getting the schedule cleaned up here now. Now, this process takes me about an hour every day. Sometimes 30 minutes to do every day to do this.
Your meta time.
Yeah, it's my meta time. The time, meta from the Greek word meaning above. It's going to take me time to do this.
Right.
And I do I like doing it? I don't think so. I don't know. I've been doing it so long, I don't know if I like it or don't like it. I've never had that thought.
So you've not opined on how much you like it?
That's true. It's true.
Jason's about to lose it now.
Don't
do it.
You can't use that word
It's
anymore.
a drinking game now.
So I had to wake up today at 5 a.m. That's when I woke up today. I woke up today at 5 a.m. Now, this is a Sunday. That's when I wake up, usually on a Sunday. During the week, I wake up at 3. But I had to wake up at 5, and I've considered the first 15 minutes of my day stupid time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you, Breck, experience the same thing. It's like this mental cobweb where I wake up and I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? I hate being up so early. I know that it's going to take me about 30 minutes to get a shower. I like to shower, brush my teeth, that whole thing. And I got to sit down for about an hour to plan out my day.
Right.
How long does it take you to sit down and plan out your day?
So I typically do mine when I hit the office in the morning. So I get up at 4. I'm at the office no later than 4:45, 5, and then it takes me about 15 to 30 minutes, just because a lot of my day is pre-scripted. My clients meet at the same time, same day, every single week. So I take a look at my calendar, make sure that everything's still good to go there, and then that's when I say, okay, what other little things do I need to do? So, if I get something from you or John, I want to make sure that I get that on the list, schedule my workouts, stuff like that.
And I'm not ripping on my wife or my kids that are still asleep right now. Leia had a birthday last night, birthday party. That's fine. That's fine. But if you're going to achieve massive success, you're going to have to live an unusual schedule and one that is very intentional. I like to go to bed. My perfect day would be, if I was not married, I would go to bed at 7 p.m. I would wake up at 1 a.m., and it would be the perfect life for me. But I'm married, so I say, you know what, I'll be up until 9. But again, everybody out there has to figure out your normal flow, okay? So here is the just to capstone idea here. Step 1, make a to-do list every single day. Step 2, make a schedule for your day. Step 3, figure out when to turn your phone off and when to turn your phone on.
More off than on.
Correct. I'd say you should keep your phone off 90% of the day. Sincerely, that's a big idea. 90% of the day, keep your phone off. Step 4, say no to everything that you haven't put on your list.
Amen.
So today, this is the official schedule of today, okay? So 5 a.m. I'm going to wake up, which I did. 7 a.m. we're going to interview Ron Parisi. We're calling him in just a second. 7:30 we're calling Tyler Hallblade. 8 o'clock I'm going to write the questions for Mark Sanborn. 8:45 I'm going to church. 11 o'clock I'll edit the voicemail for Living Water. 11:30 I'll record the epic voicemail for King Screens. 12:30 I'm going to leave to drop off the trash at the Riverwalk. 1:30 I'm going to edit Pastor Brian's book, and 6 o'clock family time. And I will get it all done in my entire day. I will be very intentional about how I spend each and every moment, including now, where we're going to call our next guest, Ron Parisi, the founder of CPA on Fire. And we're going to call him right now at 7 o'clock in the morning because we said we're going to call him at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing. And we're calling Ron Parisi. Here we go. Calling Ron. Will he pick up? Will he reject me?
I'm opining for his answer.
Here we go.
You better stop it.
Here we go.
Just for you.
Oh, Ron Parisi.
Good morning, Ron. How are you, sir?
What's up, Clay?
Hey,
Doing
brother.
well, thank you.
I'm excited to have you on the show for part 2. And on today's show, we're going to walk the listeners through your history a little bit and see if you might be the right fit for some of the folks out there. So for people now who want to know who you are, I first heard of you through the Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast, where the host, John Lee Dumas, one of the most downloaded podcasters in the world, he was bragging on you and saying that you are a great accountant. How did you first meet John Lee Dumas?
Sure. Yeah, so the founder of CPA on Fire, Josh Bowerly, reached out to John 6 years ago, just as John was just getting started. And I think originally we asked to be on the podcast, and he said, well, you know, I don't know if I want to talk about accounting per se, but I need an accountant. So we started the relationship 6 years ago, and obviously John's gone on to do amazing things. And we continue to be his accountant, and we've been, guests on his podcast several times. We do the monthly income report with him as well on his podcast, and just really kind of came up together. And I think the thing that we share in common between John and the folks at CPA on Fire, I mean, he's got a sincere interest in helping entrepreneurs and helping people to really thrive in the space. And we share that. And we also, he's an extremely hard worker, and, we work very hard here. So, a lot of synergies, and, I can't say enough about John, really solid guy. So.
Now that's
how it all started.
You mentioned John Lee Dumas's monthly income reports. For people out there that aren't familiar with eofire.com, John Lee Dumas's podcast is one of the most downloaded podcasts on the planet. He's interviewed everybody from Tim Ferriss to Tony Robbins. It's a huge podcast, and he does these income reports. Will you explain to the listeners out there what the income reports are all about?
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's very unusual. John is very transparent with, his income, what he does, how he does it. And, he just sort of sets the stage to show, what's possible. His listeners, hey, we all probably, struggle with, can we do this? Can we do this? And then, I think John, by sharing, his numbers with his audience, shows that it's doable, and, sort of sets the stage and the road for folks. And, it's amazing to think about all the people he's helped, the last 6 years, how many businesses he started, how many people he's inspired. I think it's, the fact that he shares, it's a great thing. So.
Would you say as an accountant that your role is to help your clients be proactive? Was that something you do, or how would you describe your approach to accounting?
No, absolutely. We really focus on people that want to grow, right? And these are usually extremely talented people, very creative, driven, and we help them. There's always going to be stumbling blocks, always course corrections, and we really help them. The term I use is I'm a skier. Get on the front of your skis. The only way you can turn on skis is by planting the front of your skis and edging them out. So you want to get on front of your skis. You want to be proactive. You want to anticipate. You want to course correct. And most importantly, as far as we're concerned, we want to give a picture of the company, as quickly, current numbers as possible. So, the entrepreneur, the business owner can make the right decisions. The business decisions that come forward, they have, he or she's got the right information at the right time to make the best decision possible. And it's, my experience, 25 years, it's nobody started a business and the next thing they're this huge hit. There's always course corrections, there's always setbacks, and it's about having the right information at the right time to make the best decisions going forward.
What percentage of clients do you believe have their a proactive approach to accounting before they get a hold of you? I mean, how many clients typically know their numbers well before they reach out to you?
Almost zero. I mean, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but that's why they're reaching out to me. But I've had clients that are doing extremely well that have no books or records. They just basically, whatever's in their bank account, that's what they think their income is, and they're just, and it's, you just shake your head because once we start working together and we build the process and we build what we term the dashboards and we let them see how they're doing and making those business decisions, man, they just shoot up. And then you have also people that come to us with QuickBooks, and it's just, it's one of those, the fishing lines, just crazy, bundle of stuff everywhere. And, it takes 2 or 3 months to clean it all up for the folks. So almost zero comes to us with the books in line and ready to rock and roll.
We've been talking on today's show about how to be proactive with your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, your fun. It requires sitting down and having a plan. I want to know, when did you've obviously had a lot of success now, but when did it first occur to you that when did you first have the thought that you wanted to become an accountant?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm actually, I guess, a lucky one in the fact that it started all in high school. I had a teacher who was a former accountant, and Mrs. Barberi, she taught 2 years of accounting in high school, which I think is very rare. And man, did she drill debits and credits into my brain. And by the time I graduated high school and I went to college and majored in accounting, it all came easy to me. And it was that solid foundation of the accounting work. And I've done other things. I went to law school. I worked at a Big Four accounting firm in international tax. So I've done other things, but man, the root of, debits and credits and that foundation of accounting, man, has just really served me well. And, consulting with, the clients that we have now, it's obviously a lot more than debits and credits, but having the foundation of the accounting and being able to, when you really understand the topic, you're able to explain it, you're able to teach it, and you're able to explain it in like plain English. I get on CPE classes and things like that where they're talking 30,000 feet, and you just can't understand them because it's all lingo and things like that. I really try to really bring it down to a level people can understand, and I think the only way you can do that is really having a solid foundation and the fundamentals.
So you had the idea that you wanted to become an accountant at what age?
Probably like 16, 17.
16 or 17. And so when did you feel like you were finally, when did you feel like you were gaining traction with this idea? Was it after you had the degree? Did you feel like you were gaining some traction? Was it when you enrolled in college to get the degree? I mean, when did you feel like, okay, I am confident this is what I'm going to do professionally?
Yeah, probably when I started with Big Four accounting firm, PwC. You start with big class, and you're like, yeah, am I going to hold up? And I from the get-go, I accelerated in my career right off, starting in audit and eventually into tax. And, I was always on top of my class. And that's really where I felt like, you're around, super high level professionals, and it really just kind of clicked, at that level.
So
and I've always been in the entrepreneurial side, even with the big firms. I was always on the entrepreneurial team and things like that. So I always enjoyed, the business, getting closer to the business decision making is always my goal.
So what year did you guys start the your firm now? What year did you guys start the firm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, CPA on Fire. Probably about 2014.
2014. Okay.
And 2014. So we've been around 6 years. And again, Josh Bowerly started it, and we've got it, been affiliated with Josh for probably about the last 3 years, and just started, taking over the management last year. And this is where, we really started with a tax base, and now, we've been able to expand that to a lot more advisory services, the virtual CFO services.
So what are all the services that you guys provide for clients?
So we really have a narrow focus. We really try to work with online businesses that are looking to grow, 2X, 5X, 10X. These are folks that are established with a business idea, but really trying to get to the next level. And that's really our sweet spot. So we start off with we're really good at the fundamentals, right? The bookkeeping, the tax planning, the compliance. But, our sort of special sauce comes into, anticipating what that path looks like for somebody that really wants to double, triple, 10X their company in, relatively short periods of time, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, these guys have done a terrific job of growth. And, so we do the fundamentals, right? We take all that bookkeeping, we take all that compliance work, we sit down, we do a tax plan. You shouldn't do things solely on tax, but taxes should always be at the table when you're making the decisions, because it's not, the financials are good, but at the end of the day, it's how much money you get to keep and put into your pocket. So we're always working with the tax planning, but then really where the special sauce comes in is that, one-on-one relationship, customized reports. Okay, what's going to really drive the profitability of your business? Let's sit down. We do a lot of meetings, monthly meetings now. Everything's virtual with us. So we sit down and we talk about, their business, and it allows them to sort of get out of the day-to-day. Our clients, most of them work with remote teams. They're probably by themselves a lot. They have maybe offshore consultants.
Got it.
And they're always working on their business. This allows them to step out and really be, that CEO of the business.
So let's say that, Jason, think about some of your clients you work with. Mm-hmm. Fire off for, Ron, some of the industries you work in. Like, give Ron an example of some of the clients you work with, like the industries or businesses.
So, there's automotive repair, there's contractors, both construction, electrical, pool building. Let's see, why am I blanking? Legal, apparel. That's just
so if these entrepreneurs are listening to today's show, mm-hmm. and they are not satisfied with the accounting services that they're using now, mm-hmm. What's the first step, Ron, that people need to take if they want to see if your company is the right fit for them?
Yeah, sure. We have a pretty dynamic website, cpaonfire.com, and we invite people. If you think you're a good fit, and you want to sit down, we offer a 30-minute consultation, and we'll sit down with the folks. And I always promise, there's always usually a gold nugget that you find in 30 minutes. We talk about their ambitions, and we talk about where they want to get to, and we kind of sort of high-level plan. And they always leave, with some kind of gold nugget that they've never thought about before. So
now, what I have found is that most people, when it comes to their accounting, they usually, and Breck, you've been self-employed for a long time, so I'm sure you can relate to this until you kind of learn the systems. But I know most people, I would say myself included, when I first started DJ Connection, right. you run the company, and then you get to the end of the year or the end of the month, and you go, how do I owe this much in taxes? Or how did I get here?
Sure.
We almost view accounting as like a rear view mirror. and we're almost trying to find out what happened in the past, Ron. We're starting to say, well, what had happened was I didn't pay taxes, and all of a sudden we find ourselves behind. Do you help people get ahead where they actually have a plan where they're, do you help business owners get ahead of the I just want to hear your take on that, Ron, because I feel like most entrepreneurs I talk to tell me they feel overwhelmed because they're so far in the hole the wrong way. Do you help people get more proactive, or what are some of the changes you help them make?
Oh, absolutely. We say no surprises, no surprises, no surprises. What happens at the end of the year, exactly, man. Classic example. Hey, we have this in the bank. They're making business decisions thinking they have this much cash. And the next thing you know, the tax bill comes, April 15th, and they have to write a huge check, and it changes everything for them. And we try, again, proactive, right? We try to figure out where they are today, what's their budget. We work with them to work on what's called quarterly estimates, so we make sure they're paying in the right amount. And no surprises at the end of the year. Again, being proactive, making the best decision, business decisions that, day to day.
So what does your service cost? I mean, if somebody out there is trying to figure out what it costs, what's the price range?
Yeah, sure. So we really like to work on a subscription model, on a monthly, anything from, bookkeeping, starts about $1,500 a month. And then our packages sort of start from there. If you're not quite ready and you don't have, a sizable business, we also have some tax planning packages that just allow folks to work with just on a tax planning as they're getting, their momentum for the business. And again, that's focused on the no surprise, the proactive type approach.
$1,500 though gets me in the game. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And do you meet with your clients once a month, once a quarter, once a week? How does that work?
Yeah, so most of our clients we meet once a month, and again, allows them to kind of bring them out of their day-to-day, lets them really see the business as a CEO and a whole new perspective on it. And that's, again, that's part of the secret sauce. Once we have a consistent meeting month to month and they're able to see their business in a new light, again, then they're really off to the races. We've really seen some great results, doing that monthly meetings and allowing them to see that dashboard of their business performance.
Now, I've heard people brag about your visual reporting. What does that look like, the dashboard? What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so we look at, I'm going to get into a little geek speak here, but KPIs, key performance indicators, so we look at the business, okay, what's really going to drive your success? And everybody knows, right? You have to pay attention. Nothing grows by itself. If you pay attention and you know exactly, what you're going after, the goals, you're going to succeed. So we try to put those KPIs in exactly what you think of as a dashboard, right? You look at your car, you have your speedometer, your RPMs, same thing. You have your KPIs. Example would be just KPI, right? Revenue, profitability, outstanding AR. What is AR?
For people out there that don't know people out there who don't know what AR is, what is AR?
Accounts receivable.
Okay, got it.
I was thinking artist and repertoire. I was thinking
get
music.
in trouble with their accounts receivable, and by being monitoring that's very good.
So So I want to make sure the listeners get this. If anybody out there wants to have you do a once over, kind of look at their business, you're saying you'll be happy to sit down for 30 minutes and to go over, ask them some questions, figure out where they're at. And you're saying that typically you find a golden nugget during the process, and all that's free, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Sure.
And then if there are
CPAonfire.com.
CPAonfire.com. CPAonfire.com. And if they talk to you, you're saying they typically find an aha moment, a golden nugget, something magical that happens. And then if they want to be a client with you, it's about $1,500 a month. Is that correct, or is it more than that?
That's usually that's the bookkeeping, and then we go from there. If there is more customization, if a lot of our guys have multiple businesses, so it could build from there. So
now, this is rare. What you do is rare. What I find most people get, and Breck, I'm not asking you to rip your accountant. I'm just going to say I've used a lot of accountants in the past. I currently use CCK, and I'm very happy. My wife does a great job being very proactive with them. But in the past, all the accountants that I have used, that I have personally used, I'm not saying that all accountants fit into this category. I'm just saying the ones I have used never would tell me anything proactively and would always call me at some point, Ron, towards the end of the year, and would say, hey, you need to come in and meet because you need to file an extension. Mm-hmm. And then I would file an extension, and then I'd find out I owed some epic amount of money, and then we would make a plan to pay it off over time. Breck, have you had a different experience with other accountants?
No, one of the things I wanted to ask Ron about was, in my experience, I've been an entrepreneur for about 16 years now, and like you've got this idea or this analogy of the car and the dashboard. I have had trouble learning the rules of the road, and I've had to do it over time along the way. So is that something that you do with your clients in these monthly meetings as far as, some of my friends who were also business owners might know better strategies or things about accounting that I just felt like I was in the dark on. So they're like, yeah, you could do this, business meeting, or you could do it this way. Hey, you can't, that's not deductible. And so you wouldn't spend in that direction. Some of those types of things. How often do you come up with business owners who don't know certain aspects of what they could or shouldn't be doing from a tax vantage point, where you just have to give a basic overview of, one of the things I found out recently was about like wardrobe and stuff. So, if I purchase scrubs for my office, that's not something that's deductible, whereas I thought it would be as a business expense. So just, even small things like that, up to big things. How much of that do you do as far as from a coaching standpoint of letting your clients know these are things that you should or shouldn't be doing, and this is how we start to become proactive?
Hey, exactly, Rick. That's exactly what we do. Is that when a client comes to me, very rarely are they up to speed. And who can be? The tax law changes, and day to day it seems like this year. So it's just a matter of we sort of start a learning journey together, where it's just an education. Again, I'm not trying to flex my muscles during these meetings. It's really just hey, what's happening with the business? Let's see if we can get into the right posture. Educating the client on what's the best way uses of their money. Exactly that. What's tax deductible? What's not from a tax planning standpoint. And, I find that confidence is huge, with entrepreneurs. And these guys that I work with, I'm assuming you're similar, right? Super creative, very good at what you do, right? But their confidence sort of weans when it comes to their books, records, tax planning. And these monthly meetings, as we're building a plan for these guys, all of a sudden you see their confidence really increase. Their business decision timing is so much faster. And that's, again, part of the secret sauce as these guys, really accelerate their growth.
Oh, absolutely. I think, if I know the rules, then I know how to play the game. And so the more confident I am in knowing those rules, the better I play.
Jason, you have a lot of clients that you've worked with, and I just want to know, as a consultant, mm-hmm. What percentage of the time do your clients come to you and say they don't know where they're at financially?
Almost every time. I've had one client who's been really good about tracking his progress since before he started with us.
But usually it's like they need help. Am I correct?
Every single person.
And I think the problem about when you reach out for an accounting service, what we're used to, and maybe Nathan, maybe you've had a different experience with accountants, but what most people are used to is every time you call your accountant to ask him a quick question, you get a $187 bill.
Right.
And you never hear from your accountant. And all you know is that it's almost like a meeting of shame. Mm-hmm. You go in to meet, and you discover that you owe a ton of money. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so I think people shy away from talking to their accountant when they actually should be in touch with them often. Nathan, have you had a good experience with accountants in the past? Have you and your wife found one that you're very happy with at this point, or how's that going?
I have not. I think the hardest part is getting someone to call you back. It just seems like they're a mystical ghost, except for when they want money from you. I did have a question for you, because you mentioned the 30-minute meeting and getting a gold nugget. Now, I know you can't give all the gold nuggets away because, there's the secret sauce you were talking about, but is there like a little sliver, maybe something off the kind of the edge of the gold nugget that you hear most of your small businesses like ours, the problem that we run into the most that we just didn't know we were supposed to know? Is there like one of those things that you're like, oh, 9 times out of 10, I run into this, that they should be doing this. It'll make the change for their life. What can people listening to this show say, oh, man, that's going to help me?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. It's really customized. I have to listen. Usually it's like, hey, have you thought about, this revenue stream, or have you thought about doing this differently? But, I just think, what we talked about earlier, and that's getting ahead of your tax estimates. So crucial to know, particularly this time, in this year, cash flow is king, and, managing cash flow. So it's between, doing the tax estimates and understanding your cash flow is super important. That's where we would focus on first.
Is there a book maybe that you would recommend that all the listeners have, that all the entrepreneur listeners out there, from your perspective as an accountant there, Ron? I mean, you guys at CPA on Fire, I know you consume a lot of books. There's many books, but is there a book you'd recommend that all of our listeners would have as it relates to accounting for their business or their relationship with money and cash?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. My book that I always go to, and I don't know if it's necessarily an accounting book, is Keith Cunningham, The Road Less Stupid. Man, that guy, talks about so many different concepts about running a business for an entrepreneur. But, as far as accounting is concerned, we have our book is, by Josh Bowerly, is about, just the accounting fundamentals. It's just called Accounting Quick Start Guide. That just kind of covers, high levels, bookkeeping, X's and O's. But, The Road Less Stupid, Keith Cunningham, and I know everybody knows The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. I give that to my clients all the time.
I've never heard anybody recommend The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. I've never heard. That's the first time. So you get a mega point. I've had nobody ever recommend that book so far. So you get a mega point. That's an original book recommendation. Now, as far as the E-Myth, I have had that book recommended by many, many people to me and throughout the years. I've read the book twice. And the author of the book, Michael Gerber, we have had him on the show. I could not agree more. Now, final 2 questions for you, then I'll let you get back to having a great Sunday there. If the listeners out there want to engage with you, if they want to reach out to you, they want to schedule that free consultation, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, sure. So visit our website, cpaonfire.com, and right on the homepage, you're going to see, book an exploratory call. And, I hear what you guys are saying, right? Accountants, I just personally think accountants take on way too many clients. They cannot be proactive with their clients. And I think at the end of the day, clients suffer. So for us, we're, limited to the amount of clients that we take. So the great start to is to book the exploratory call, sit down, work on your business for 30 minutes, find those gold nuggets, at least one, and then see if there's a good fit going forward.
Okay, Jason, you have this supernatural ability to ask the questions that America wants to ask.
Yes.
But a lot of times America doesn't have the chance to ask on behalf of our clients. What would be your final question here for Ron Parisi of CPA on Fire?
I'm hoping Ron can save me and my clients and the rest of America from this question, because nobody has yet been able to give me an answer. So when I first started in I don't even want to say accounting, I did accounts receivable and accounts payable for 2 different jobs. But my background is in customer service. So when they were training me through everything, they said, okay, well, basically for accounts receivable, you just have to know the difference between a debit and a credit and you're good. And I go, okay, cool. I'm 21. What's the difference between a debit and a credit? And my boss goes, well, a debit's a debit and a credit's a credit. And so my response was,
powerful.
Yeah, well, all butterflies are moths, but not all moths are butterflies. Do you know what that means? And she said, no. I was like, okay, well, now we're in the same situation. So to the average person who doesn't have like a CPA
You're getting really deep here.
What's the difference between a debit and a credit? Because I feel like a lot of people lose, like they get lost in the conversation with the accountant when they're talking about it, and they have no idea what happens after the fact.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So I always kind of visualize or have my clients visualize the balance sheet and the profit and loss statement as a puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. And debits and credits are essentially pieces of the puzzle that go into, making up both those balance sheet, both those financial statements. So depending on the uses of it, debits are different and credits are different. I think that people who balance their checkbook can understand debits and credits, but when you get into the accounting world, I think that's when you get the difference between moths and butterflies. But essentially, the debit is usually good and the credit's not so good, but and that's on the balance or on the P&L, and it's the reverse on the balance sheet. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. But,
no, that was because you just give me two resources and say, okay, here this one's good, here this one's not so good, and then vice versa. That's a lot better than one's one thing that's called the same thing.
I'm just going to say this. This is my shameless pitch of Ron and what he does. Is a lot of accountants speak only in lingo that you don't understand. So it's like going to a Spanish class where the teacher refuses to speak English ever because she wants to teach using immersion. And that's a really great, clever idea that allows a teacher to not have to engage and explain to you what they're talking about. But I had Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 in high school and don't know a lick of it because the way it was taught was this immersion ridiculousness, where the teacher the entire time would speak in jargon, a.k.a. Spanish, and so you had no idea what the person was talking about. And although they thought immersion was a great way to learn, no one had any idea what was going on. So even though I finished high school and I had Spanish 1 and 2, I don't know anything about Spanish. All I knew was how to take a test. Ron does a great job of breaking down complex accounting principles into a way that every entrepreneur leaves the meeting with confidence and feeling like they are on fire. Like they feel like they know what they're doing. They feel like they understand where they're at financially. They understand where they're going financially. And the good folks at CPAonfire.com, they're absolutely there to serve you and to help you. The first consultation is free. And after that, if you want to pay, then they have different packages. But Ron, thank you for joining us on today's show. I really do appreciate you. And again, if people want to reach out to you, all they have to do is go to CPA on Fire to schedule their first 30-minute consultation. Ron, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners before we let you get back to doing the great things that you do?
No, I just think that I want to say thank you very much, Clay, for having us on.
Yeah.
We live in a great country. And God bless everybody.
All right. You take care. Have a great day, sir.
All right. Take care now. Thanks, guys.
All right. Now we're going to call Tyler Hallblade because that's what we said we're going to do. So we're calling Tyler Hallblade because he's in our schedule, because that's what we said we're going to do. And in a world of perpetual distractions, there are many things around us, all of which will not get done while I'm calling Tyler Hallblade. So here we go. I'm calling Tyler Hallblade right now. I'm calling him because that's what I said I'm going to do. Not curious about who's trying to call me because I'm calling Tyler Hallblade.
I'm pining for his answer.
Here we go. I'm reaching out to him.
I swear to God.
This is Tyler.
Tyler, what's up, man? This is Clay Clark with the Thrive Time Show. How are you on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Good. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm excited to talk to you. Andrew has been telling me that you're setting records. For the listeners out there that don't know what your business is, what is the name of your company?
Primo Trailer Manufacturing.
And what is the web address for people out there that want to check it out?
www.primotrailer.com.
Primotrailer.com. And where are you guys based?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Really? Now, Andrew has told me that your sales are going way up. So before you tell us about that, how did you first hear about us?
I listened to your guys' podcast probably, 3 years ago maybe.
Yeah.
I used to listen to it every day, and then I went to the conference probably about a year and a half ago.
How would you describe the conference experience?
It's just high energy, positive. You walk away from like every day feeling very excited and energized, and you learn so much. Our conferences, we have these 45-minute sprints. We teach for 45 minutes, and then we break for 15 minutes. 45 minutes, break for 15 minutes. And during that break, you can write down questions, and we answer the questions. You can use the restroom. You can go grab some coffee. You can whatever. Can you describe the structure of the conference and what that did for you in terms of the learning, the 45-minute sprints with the 15-minute breaks? Yeah, it was really good. I struggled in school, so sitting for long periods of time was really hard, but it gave you enough focus time, and then you were able to go and talk to other people that were like-minded, which was really cool during those 15 minutes. You never felt like you were pressed into a chair for 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah, it was just different than any other conference I've ever been to. So
did you like it? Did you like it? Or
yeah, I liked it a lot.
How would it compare to the other ones you've been to?
What was that?
How would it compare to the other ones you've been to, the other conferences you've attended?
The value, I mean, one, the price was probably less than half of what I've normally paid for some other ones. And the value was 10 times better. And it was just more encouraging. It was more my kind of vibe. More people that were like me attended it than any other one. So you're able to like connect with people who were in that same mindset, which I don't think a lot of these other conferences have. But you just funnel a bunch of people wearing suits into a massive conference room for, like I said, 8 hours.
Now, so then you left the conference, and what I don't like, and Jason, I don't like it. You know I don't like it. I don't like when our conferences are too big. I like to keep them smaller because you can't answer people's questions.
Right.
I like to keep them more intimate, 100 people or less. But when people go home, I don't like when people return to their home and they say, "Oh, I feel good. I love it. Woo!" I like when they actually implement. I like when they call me a year later and they say, "This is what I have done as a result of these things I've learned."
Yes.
And as a coaching program, all we do is help you implement. So rather than just telling you what to do, for $1,700 a month, we help you implement. So we help you with the graphic design, the photography, the web development, the search engine content, all that kind of stuff. And the idea is to grow your company. So with that being said, how long have we worked with you in a coaching relationship, Tyler?
I think it's probably been a year or so.
A year? Okay. And do you have full-time employees that work for you?
Yes, I've got 4.
Do you have any employees that work for you full-time that you pay $1,700 a month or less to?
No.
Okay. And so, but that is what we charge. And we do that because we always want to be an asset. We want to be somebody that helps you grow the company. That being said, how much have you grown as a percentage since we've started working with you?
We grew 300% last year, and we're on track to do 300% again this year.
Woo!
Awesome. Congratulations.
You know, guys, if you add all that up, it turns out to be a lot.
A whole lot.
So you've grown your business a lot, and you sell trailers, and I would like to brag on you because there's so many cool things that you do. You are implementing the Dream 100 system.
Yes.
Can you explain what the Dream 100 system is and how it's working for you there, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's just a list of our 100 top likely, buyers. Ours happens to be more like 1,000. But, yeah, I mean, I've got a sales guy who calls through that every single day. He makes about 150 calls on it a day. And then we write handwritten notes and send gifts to them. And we send them free product that we have. And they respond with, "Why are you doing this?" And we try to explain, and they just don't get it, but it works.
And what is your website again, one more time?
PrimoTrailer.com.
PrimoTrailer.com. Jason, I feel like, and maybe I'm incorrect, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, previous to reaching out to us, think that because they have a great product, it will sell itself.
Yes, and to those people, I like to say, nobody wakes up with a burning desire to buy your crap.
And I hear this all the time that people say, "My product is so good. It's so good, Clay. It's good." And they want to focus on the product, but we have to generate sales.
You have to.
Which means you have to call people you do not know and to share with them about your product. And again, how many calls is your guy making a day, Tyler?
The minimum is 100. But on average, it's about 150.
Oh, yeah.
So you're calling people you do not know and telling them about what you do?
Oh, yeah, the same people every month.
The same people?
Yeah, we make it through the list on average once to twice a month. So they get a call from us almost every 3 to 4 weeks.
And do you gather Google reviews? Are you doing that well on the path? 'Cause I make a path and a plan for every client, and I'm sometimes befuddled by people that reach out and want a plan, and then when you give them the plan, they don't want to do the plan. But I hear you're doing the plan. Are you actually getting reviews from happy customers?
Yes. So every single person who buys one of our trailers fills out a little form to register their trailer for their warranty. and we call them and ask for a Google review, and we get 1 to 2 a week.
Breck, the relationship is so great because we've made a plan for
Right.
Tyler. Tyler wants a plan, and he executes the plan.
Yeah.
We're talking about becoming proactive, intentional people on today's show.
Right.
He's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. I love seeing you, Dr. Breck, implement the systems since you've worked with your coach, Tim. Can you explain, Dr. Breck, how much have you grown in the past, 3 years as a percentage?
Well, we've more than doubled, and one of the most fun statistic I'd love to throw out there is in June, we actually were up by 10% over last year, and that's with COVID-19 craziness happening. So, not only have we grown, but then we've also weathered some incredible storms and even showed growth, 10% growth, where we're already busting at the seams. We had 10% growth in June while people are scared and crazy, and July has continued on. So yeah, I'm excited for the future and getting in our new space and exploding even further there.
And Nathan, your company, Complete Carpet, you guys have grown quite a bit. How much have you guys grown in the past 2.5 years?
Since we started with the coaching, we got pretty close. We almost touched the 4-time mark this year. So we're still sitting about the 3.5 times since before the coaching. And we have had the same results that Dr. Breck has had, is that this year we, even with COVID in place, even with a little bit of dip in March, we've actually been up month on month all the way through this year. So we've been able to grow in the middle of this, the pandemic that we're going through, by using good general business practices.
Tyler, what's all the stuff that you offer? Like what kind of products do you offer?
Just aluminum utility trailers.
And what time?
So anywhere from like a 5x8 to like a car hauler.
And yeah, go to his website. There's some pretty cool pictures on here about the trailers he could do. They're really awesome.
Primotrailer.com. Tyler, what time is your weekly coaching meeting?
It's Tuesdays at 7 a.m.
And are you typically on that call?
Every week, unless some unforeseen circumstance happens, but yeah.
So it's interesting because I said I would call you at 7:30 a.m. Central on Sunday, and then that's what I did. And that right there is where the relationship gets weird or it gets great. No, I'm serious.
No,
that's
true.
the great divide. Is
Yeah.
it if the kind of person that cannot keep their appointments consistently cannot be successful.
Right.
And Tyler is a very consistent person. I want to ask Tyler a question, and then Breck, I know you have a final question here for Tyler. So here we go. Tyler, what is wrong with you? I mean, you show up on the calls at the right time every week. I mean, you've got to be rejecting other people who are trying to call you at the exact same time. Andrew reports you're focused on during the meetings. You are not taking calls from other people. Andrew reports you're focused, you're enthusiastic, you're committed. That is just it's weird. It's weird. What is? I mean, how do you do that? Because a lot of people struggle with that idea.
I just have a goal, and I'll do just about anything to reach it. And I've seen the value in the coaching. So that's kind of put the coaching up there in my top 3 things of do not miss each week.
I cannot say enough good things about Tyler and the level of diligence and commitment and focus he's put into this. Breck, you had a hot take.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm missing something here, Tyler. So I need to know what is your secret to these amazing trailers, because you guys are up by 9 times from where you were. So what is the nuanced difference that makes your trailer so much better than everybody else's?
So I don't know how familiar you are with fabrication, but we took a different approach to the trailer industry than what's been done for the last 20 years.
Okay.
So my father owns a trailer dealership, so I've been around these trailers. So I learned what was good, what was bad, and what people liked and didn't like. And we just set out and said, hey, we want to do something that no one's different. So we TIG weld. We use aluminum, we use premium airline grade aluminum. We use all these expensive things, and we make less money per trailer, but we make a nicer trailer that seriously, when people get it in their hands, they're like, how do you guys make this affordable? So we just came up with a system that made a better trailer, delivered it quicker, and more affordable. So
it's not just that it's a 9 times better product, but there's other aspects that have allowed you to grow even further, faster.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, our whole system from the top down is designed to be counter to what is typical in all the best ways.
So you're doing things differently in the right ways.
Yep.
Keep it up.
I'm just telling somebody out there, it might seem mean, it might seem terrible. It might, if you were even in this room today, you might have seen what happens. But I am an indistractable, focused force, and I will not let anything distract me at all from that thing.
True.
Right.
And when you're in the meetings with your clients and they are focused too, it is awesome. Because I'm not asking the client to be focused for 4 consecutive hours or 40 consecutive hours. No. Jason, I'm not asking a client to stay focused for 3 consecutive weeks on the phone call.
No.
I'm saying for 1 hour of power. Sometimes the meetings are 30 minutes. Sometimes they're an hour. But Jason, if I could send up a prayer and I could say, Jesus, because by the way, there's power in his name. If I could, and I mean this sincerely, if I could just have one prayer for my clients, please help my clients to be on time for their meetings and to be undistracted during those meetings, please. Because it would help them so much.
It would.
But it's a personal decision thing. People have to make the decision. Jesus has given us the capacity, the mental capacity, and the mental tenacity needed to stay focused. But there's distractions all around.
Every day.
Jason, you've got some great clients. Do all of the great clients not show up for their meetings?
All of my best clients, especially the ones that have stuck around the longest, show up every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time they're there.
Oh.
They don't take other calls. It's not like, oh, hold on, I have another call coming in. Or, oh, sorry, can you repeat that? I was reading something else. They say, okay, what are we doing today?
It's just, it's so bromantic when somebody focuses and knocks out their stuff. It's beautiful. Breck, you work out. Have you ever worked out with a partner that wants to talk to you about geopolitical issues while you're doing curls?
I honestly, I'm not a good workout partner. I've got one guy that I can work out with consistently, and it works out great.
Because you're working out.
Because, my intensity goes from like a, I've been told I'm kind of an intense guy at times, and I go to like a 12 when I'm working out. Like, I don't even like me. So
you're not there to talk about
I'm not there to talk.
Things.
I'm there to get it done. Yep.
I've tried to.
I like go into like a Green Hulk type of mentality.
Yes.
I've tried to opine with Dr.
Nathan,
he's coming across this room, Nathan.
We're going to fight in the driveway after this.
Okay, so Tyler, what would be for anybody out there who's considering our coaching program, you've been around us long enough to know who's a good fit and who's not a good fit. You probably have family members where you're going, don't call those guys. You probably had family members where you've probably thought to yourself, because people will ask you, Tyler, what about your coaching program? Do you recommend it? You might be thinking, no, do not call those guys. There's other people that you would recommend. What kind of person is a good fit for the coaching program and who is not?
I mean, the right person is somebody who is willing to put their ego aside for the growth of their business. And like you said, willing to show up, and then not just show up once a week, but actually do what is told. So I know a lot of people who have too big of egos for their business that they get told that that's not the right thing to do. They'll just scoff and not even try it. That's not the right person.
There are people that have reached out to me in the past who've said, I really want to be a coaching client, as recently as yesterday. And I talked to the guy, and he says, well, I can't do weekly meetings because every week's different for me. So, but I want to be a client. I'm going, well, that's the very core thing. That's like me hiring a personal trainer and then saying, Jason, could you work out for me this week? Like I've got a personal trainer that helps me get in shape, but could you work out? Could you use your body for me, because my body is busy? Could you use your body for me? That's what it's like when you have so people will hire, this guy wanted to hire a coach, and then he says, and then could you just work with my marketing people? It doesn't work that way. You have to actually be there. I think, Breck, you had a hot take. You wanted to share something.
Well, one of the things I wanted you to consider is if you guys have thought about having maybe an Employee of the Month award, and I'm thinking about this for myself as well. I need to consider making sure that Thrive Time is eligible for that award because, as you pointed out, Clay, you are the least paid employee of my team, yet bringing a very high value for that pay. So like you talked about the implementation, like with my website, if you had said, hey, these are the things you need for a website and these are the issues with Google and getting SEO and being canonically compliant and mobile compliant and all those things. If you had told me that 2.5 years ago when I started coaching, likely it wouldn't still be done. But you not only say, hey, these are the things that are important and we're going to do them. These are the things we're going to do for you as a client of ours. So that's part of where my fee goes, is to be able to do those things that I'm not going to do. I can take it off of my to-do list, but you actually make yourself a very high-value employee of my company. And I think that's very true here for Primo Trailers, for complete carpet cleaning, for so many people that are listening right now. The value you get out of the coaching is phenomenal.
I would just say this: if you're listening right now and you want to grow that business, and you can't afford a full-time team, or maybe, if it was me, it's just expensive. I've done it before. You're going to pay $5,000 a month for one graphic designer, $5,000 a month for a videographer.
Oh, at least
$5,000 a month for a web developer. Mm-hmm. And God forbid if either one of them, if anybody got sick or they couldn't be there, you really need 2 or 3 of each of those skills. Some redundancy there, and we have a great service that helps 160 wonderful people, and I mean this, Tyler. You are one of you are one of my favorite clients, based upon just what I hear from Andrew about you, and I just appreciate you being so coachable and diligent. And if anybody out there is listening and they want to buy an aluminum trailer, do you sell all over the country or just in Phoenix, or who can buy these?
So we sell through our dealer network. And we are getting dealers. We're growing so fast. We're getting 1 to 2 new dealers every week.
Wow.
So by this time next year, we'll be in every state and every province in Canada and the United States.
Do you have a dealer in Oklahoma?
We actually are about to in Tulsa.
All right.
Probably about.
Just going to have to check out one of these trailers.
Weeks.
I'm excited.
How cool is that? Unbelievable.
Hey, Tyler, I had a question for you. It shows here you started in 2012. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I actually technically started back in high school. When I went into pre-engineering, I designed these trailers as a senior project. Went to work for my dad and welded up the first one myself. And we incorporated in 2017.
So fast forward, what was it that you saw? You talked about being humble going to the coaching. What was it that you saw you were stuck at that the coaching really helped you to rocket you into this new growth?
A lot of it was just structure and guidance. To be honest, I've never owned a business before, so I wasn't really sure what to do or the right things to do. And the coaching I saw as it's why I listened to the podcast first. So like, how do I avoid making mistakes and how do I focus on the right things to do? So I don't know where I got the coaching. I probably would have made a lot more mistakes, and I definitely wouldn't be where I was. But putting that structure in place for me so that I could put it in place for my company was huge.
Well, Tyler, I cannot wait for you to hear. We are interviewing Dr. Judy Mikovits next week.
Okay.
Tyler, do you know who she is?
I've heard Andrew talk to me a little bit about her last week, maybe.
Now, she's the best-selling author in America right now. Her book is called Plague of Corruption. And she worked directly with Dr. Fauci. And when she told America who he really is, she had to go hide in a boat because they tried to send people to get her. And she's now out of the hiding. And her book is endorsed by Bobby Kennedy, who actually is, JFK's son. And she has got a great story to tell. And all I can say is the truth is coming to light. And have you followed this whole Epstein thing, Tyler? Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. I follow. Yeah.
Yes. Well, just yesterday, the documents were released from the Epstein investigation. Epstein is the most prolific pedophile in American history. And Jeffrey Epstein, yesterday, the documents were released that shows that Bill Clinton went out to Epstein's Island multiple times. We probably shouldn't trust him. And Mr. Dershowitz, the attorney who tells everybody they have no right to not take the vaccine, he happened to go out to Pedophile Island, and it couldn't get better. It is so exciting. And the guy who's creating the vaccines that we all should take, Mr. Bill Gates, it turns out as though he is very close friends with Mr. Epstein, and we probably shouldn't take a vaccine from a man who hangs out with prolific pedophiles. I cannot wait for the truth to come to light. So stay tuned, Tyler, for that interview with Judy Mikovits. She is a legend, and she sacrificed her entire career and thrown her entire career down the toilet to share the truth. And I'm excited. So stay tuned, my friend. You're going to love it.
I will.
All right. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for being on the show. You, sir, are a great American.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Take care, dude.
All right. Take it easy.
See ya. Bye. Okay, look at that. We got all these things done.
See, that's what excites me. I mean, he said he started in high school. I don't know how old he is. He doesn't sound very old in his voice, but that can be misleading a little bit.
Well, he started in 2012.
Right.
And high school was
while
just
he was
before
still in
then,
high school. But, that's the American dream. It's not guaranteed results. It's guaranteed opportunity. And he took a problem he saw. His dad had the trailer dealership. He saw problems with the trailers, listened to the complaints, fixed them, came up with a better mousetrap, and now he's killing the market. I love it.
It's an unbelievable story. He's a real thriver out there just like you. Folks, we covered a lot of ground on today's show. Do not be just a hearer of these words. Be a doer. If you're in the Tulsa area and you say, the show inspired me so much, I want to clean my carpets. Nathan, what's your website? Somebody who wants to reach out to you.
It is CompleteCarpetTulsa.com, or you can search for Tulsa Carpet Cleaner. You'll find the highest and most reviewed carpet cleaner in the Tulsa area would be us.
Or if you say, you know what, I do need a proactive accountant, check it out, CPAonfire.com, CPAonfire.com. Or maybe you say to yourself, I need a trailer. Maybe that's what you need. You say, you know what, I do need an aluminum trailer. Check out PrimoTrailer.com, PRIMO Trailer.com. Or maybe you think you need a chiropractor. Check out Dr. Breck, DRBRECK.com. Or maybe you need some great one-on-one business coaching from great people like Jason Beasley and our team. Check us out today at ThriveTimeShow.com. And we like to end each and every show with a boom. And then I'm going to church because it's in my schedule. Like I said,
hallelujah.
And then after I go to church, I'm going to come back from church. And when I come back from church, I'm going to edit a voicemail for Living Water Irrigation. And then I'm going to edit the voicemail for King Screens. And then I'm going to drop off the trash at the Riverwalk. Then I'm going to edit Pastor Brian's book. And then I'm going to have family time. Why? Because I've decided I'm going to. And you need to be intentional, folks. You can do it. You can live the life you've always wanted to live. You just got to be proactive about scheduling time for the achievement of your faith, family, finance, fitness, friendship, and fun goals. And now, in with the boom, 3, 2, 1, boom. And as I've mentioned on previous shows, we have a member of our team who's very, very talented. A guy by the name of Young Knowledge. His first name is actually Charles, and Charles is a member of the Elephant in the Room Men's Grooming Lounge team. But he's also an aspiring rapper and a guy who wants to get his voice out to the masses and get his uplifting songs up into the air everywhere and all around the earth. And so we want to help him share his music with you. And so now, without any further ado, here is Young Knowledge. His rap name is Young Knowledge. This is his remix or retake a version of Tupac's song Changes. And if you like it, you want to hear more Young Knowledge music, check out his YouTube channel, Young Knowledge, Y-U-N-G Knowledge.
That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same, never be the same, never be the same, no, the way it is. Yeah, oh yeah. Let go. It's feeling like my resurrection. I was never dead, I was resting. I've been waiting on my time to be selected. I'm sorry you felt neglected. Still hold it down for my section 111. We repping it with perfection. I promise I got a message straight from the great one. Lot of fake people telling lies, but I ain't one. They ain't gon' give you no shot, you gotta take one. No rap scene in my city till we made one. I ain't got no friends no more, only got brothers left. I can never let you put your knee up on my brother's neck. They wanna kill our whole race till ain't no brothers left. That's why we gotta push forward and take another step. I'd rather do life in prison with 100 sets. Hit the yard looking hard, do a couple 100 reps. But I can't let my brothers die, just record it. When ain't too many real ones left, I can't afford it. Jordan, lately I've been feeling like LeBron. Yeah, I said it out before, but I feel like it's my time. Now you wanna come back thinking it's all fly? I ain't seen you in a minute like a supersized fry. Never let a sucker break a spirit, they ain't like us. Brody getting busy, no hezzy, homie, you might bust. Don't tell me what you would've did, don't hype us. I can never hang around a person that I might trust. Life's tough, persevere through it all. Same people smiling at you, gon' cheer when you fall. It's a shame when they hate on greatness and praise fakeness. Big blessings on the way, I feel it, I can't shake. Yeah, I pledge allegiance to my region, cause I know we need it. Don't act facetious about us bleeding while we tryna treat it. They say that slavery is over, but it never ceases. So come in peace and act decent or you leave in pieces. I ain't tryna start no problems, I just wanna live. The young homies living life the way I always did. Stack of chips, even if you gotta make a trip. I wanna tell them quit, but then I be a hypocrite. Some people think I moved to Oklahoma randomly. I always felt Jehovah Jireh had his hand on me. They say they always be around, but they abandon me. Man, life's a gamble, so you gotta bet a band on me. My soul hurts when I think about my old friends. All the things that we done and we coulda did. Like family, man, I fed them like my own kids. We don't need to talk now, but that's the way it is.
You know the sad thing about people is they love talking about you whether you do good or you do bad. So you might as well give them something good to hate on, you feel me? Don't follow your dreams, chase them. Don't meet me there, beat me there. Give someone around you the motivation they need to make it, because they see you grinding, and they see you shining, and they see you trying to make it to the top. You see, the thing about me is you may have more skill than I have. You may have a better background than I do. But one thing for sure and two things for certain, I will not let you outwork me, and that is a promise I intend to keep for the rest of my life.
Never, oh never, some things will never change. No, never, oh never, some things will never change. Yeah, that's just the way it is. No, oh never, some things will never change.